right, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Rakak Kodash.
the honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the Akim out there pushing the word of Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Rakak Kodash, in truth and sincerity. Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Rakak Kodash, brought them to all. We're the brothers from Great Millstone, Mayan, and the brother Loya and Whitney.
Jeremiah.
And what we'll be going into in this lesson is another fruit of the Spirit. It's a series that we started so many months ago entitled The Fruits of the Spirit, and we will go through each one of the fruits of the Spirit in the scriptures and, go how those fruits of the Spirit are displayed and explained in the scriptures, okay? The scriptures tell us that we are to walk in the Spirit so that we do not fulfill the lust of the flesh, for the flesh lusts against the Spirit and the Spirit against the flesh, so that we are not able to do the things that we would. All right, and if we walk in the Spirit, or if we live of the Spirit, we should also walk in the Spirit, because that was how Yahushua was walking. He was walking in the Spirit, okay? And the fruits of the Spirit, as we went over, over the course of this series, we covered love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith. And so now we're going to cover meekness, okay? Which that's a big part of what we're part of, being meek, okay? Meek towards the Heavenly Father, okay? Meek when we're going through trials and tribulations and afflictions. Even meekness as far as when brothers offend you, okay? Because the scriptures talk about if somebody smite you on the one cheek, you're supposed to turn the other also. If somebody would sue you at the law for your tunic, you're supposed to give them your cloak. If somebody would compel you to go a mile, you should go twain, okay? So it's a lot that goes into it. The scriptures, describe it, and Lord willing, the Lord gives us the wisdom and understanding, not only to live after what we're reading, but also explain it to whoever may be watching. So this video is going to cover the fruit of the Spirit, meekness, and Lord willing, this video is edifying. So you got Galatians chapter 5?
Yeah. This is Galatians 5, verse 22. Mm-hmm. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Right. Okay. So the fruit of the Spirit, which when the scriptures talk about fruit often, is not talking about fruit, apple, oranges and stuff. Mm-hmm. It means something that is produced of something else. So if like sometimes you see in the scriptures the fruit of one's loins, okay, meaning that somebody produced a child, okay. You'll know a man by his fruit, or tree by his fruit, meaning his actions, his doctrine, his character, his behavior. So the fruit of the Spirit is what is produced by the Spirit. The Spirit dwells within us, and the Spirit works through us and produces certain characteristics and actions and behaviors in us, okay? Causes us to move a certain way. And it says what? Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, and meekness. Okay, temperance, against such there is no law. Why? Because if you're walking in the Spirit, all right, you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Okay, all right, the scriptures tell you those that walk in the Spirit, mortify the flesh. Okay, it tells you that in Romans chapter 8. If you through the Spirit mortify the deeds of the body, you shall live. Okay, so that is important. Walking in the fruits of the Spirit is very, very important. At your job, okay, or with your family, all right, whatever situation that you're in, you're supposed to be walking in the Spirit. With brothers, that's important. Okay, that's very, very, very important, man. Okay, all right. Even get Galatians chapter 5. No, get Galatians chapter 6 and 1, real quick.
Galatians 6 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Galatians chapter 6, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, he which are spiritual restore such in one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Right. So even in the cases of dealing with brothers or rebuking brothers, and correcting brothers on their fault, you have to come in the spirit of meekness, because at the end of the day, we can all be tempted. all right, with the same trials, with the same faults, with the same shortcomings. Okay, now granted, the flesh affects us each differently. All right, brothers have certain strengths and weaknesses in comparison to other brothers, and vice versa. Okay, but at the end of the day, we're all in the flesh, and so even when we reprove each other, it's supposed to be in the spirit of meekness, because at the end of the day, we can all also be tempted. Okay, which the word meekness what humility. Okay, it can be synonymous with humility and gentleness. All right, so go back to Galatians chapter 5
5.
and go to 24.
Galatians 5 verse 24. And they that are Hamashiachs have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another.
Right. Okay, so if we are Hamashiach, we're supposed to crucify, which goes into mortify the flesh with the affections and the lust. Okay, and how do you mortify the flesh? By the Spirit. Okay, because the Spirit and the flesh are one against another. Okay, in order to subdue this spirituality, all right, you subdue spirituality with carnality. In order to subdue and kill carnality, you subdue it with spirituality. These two things are not they don't they don't get along. Okay,
Right.
so to speak. All right, the spirit and the flesh is like oil and water. All right, so one is going to dominate over the other. Okay, all right, so if we be in Hamashiach, we are to crucify the flesh and with the affections and the lust. All right, by walking in the spirit, man. Okay, walking in the spirit. Okay, why? Because we live in the spirit, man. The whole reason why we out there pushing this word is because of the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay, that's the only reason. That's the only way we can even approach. All right, because the scriptures tell you that we have access to the Father by one Spirit. Okay, through Yahweh Shai, man. So the only reason we able to even approach the Heavenly Father and do this work, call upon His name, and teach and know who we are and break down these scriptures and so on and so forth is why? Because of the Spirit, man. Okay, that's why we're even alive, man. Okay, all right. So if we live in the Spirit, if we live of the Spirit, we should also walk in the Spirit, man. Okay, all right. Because really, we owe Yahweh Shemel Shai our life, man. Okay. You got something?
Numbers.
Yeah, yeah, come.
Numbers 12.
Yeah.
It's Numbers chapter 12 verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. And it says, and they said, hath Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it. Yeah, Miriam and Aaron, they were simple at this moment. They had a simple moment. Pretty much, they came up against Moses.
Right.
Because he married a Ethiopian woman.
Right, and mind you, Miriam and Aaron were Moses' older siblings. Okay, and Mosai chose Moses to lead Israel. Okay,
Right.
and of course, they knew that the Most High was dealing with them on a level. All right, on a certain level, but when they saw Moses have a particular thing that was going on with him, Miriam and Aaron, they had something to say. Okay,
Right.
it was like this, has Lord spoken only by Moses,
Right.
has He not spoken by us also, man?
Right.
And so we just bringing out this example to show an example of meekness being displayed in the scriptures, because Moses did not retaliate. And he didn't go from 0 to 100 real quick in this particular situation with his brother and sister, even though he was over them and he could have, all right, he could have cut them easy, but at the end of the day he just let it slide, and then the Most High vindicated him.
Verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
Right. And that's there for a reason, man. Right in the midst of all of that, right in the midst of the accusations and the reproaches, that Aaron and Miriam were bringing upon Moses. Okay, the scriptures let you know that Moses was very meek. Okay, and there's a reason for that, man. Because somebody who's meek, at the end of the day, they just trust in the Lord, man. People come with their accusations and their opinions, right or wrong, and the person deals with it, and they don't go from 0 to 100 real quick, and the Most High vindicated Moses for that characteristic that he had, You got it, bro.
Keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4, and Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they came, Salakia, and they three came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. In the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed.
Right. So at that point, Most High stepped in and called Miriam and Moses out, and he rebuked them, man. The Most High told him that he deals with Moses face to face. All right, meaning more on an intimate level than anybody else. All right, in the congregation, everybody else he speaks through a vision or a dream, and as of course as you read the story further, you see that the Most High ended up plaguing Miriam with leprosy, and she had to be put out the camp. Okay, for the time being until her leprosy passed. Okay, and that's why Paul said, a woman is not supposed to speak in the church, man. It's a shame. Okay, going back to that particular instance. Okay, all right. So you women out there on the comment board and talking crap about the prophets, you need to stop doing that. And that's just keeping it real, man. The scriptures tell you not to do it. The Most High will fuck you up, man. Okay. But yeah, man, the Lord ended up chastising Miriam and Aaron, okay, for speaking against Moses, and the Lord vindicated them, man. All right, but we just brought vindicated Moses, but we brought that out to show what Moses' character and an example of being meek in the scriptures. All right, somebody who is meek, against accusations and reproaches, and people having things to say about them, they don't retaliate. Things happen, they don't retaliate very quickly. All right, the scriptures talk about how we're supposed to be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Okay, that's an example. Okay, all right. So moving forward, actually, I wanted to do something real quick because I do want to define the word meekness in the blue letter in that particular verse, or at least meek. That's Numbers 12. You said?
Yeah, Numbers 12. Verse 3.
Numbers 12 and 3.
Yeah.
I believe the word meek in the Hebrew is Ainoa, something like that. Right. It says what? In the Hebrew, it's Strong's H6035, Ainoa. And it means poor, humble, afflicted, meek, poor, needy, poor and weak, poor, weak, and afflicted, humble, lowly, meek. Right? And when you go to the Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, all right, for more details, it says what? Commonly with the added notion of a lowly, pious, and modest mind, which prefers to bear injuries rather than return them. Compare among other places. All right, so somebody who is meek, okay, is somebody who would rather bear the injuries, bear reproaches, okay, just deal with shit, okay, just keeping it 100%, just deal with shit rather than return them or try to take matters into their own hands, man. Okay, so that's the characteristics of somebody who is meek, man. And also in the New Testament, when you go to the etymology of the word meekness, okay. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Galatians 5. You go to the etymology of the word meekness. right? And one second. Right, so it's Strong's H4236, uh, preotas, okay, and it's what gentleness, mildness, meekness, humility, okay, and then you go to the root for it, Strong's G 4235, right? It says gentle, mild, meek, and then you go to the root for that, um, Strong's G 4239, all right, praeus, and it says mildness of disposition, gentleness of spirit, meekness. Um, it says meekness, gentle towards the Most High, is that disposition of spirit in which we accept His dealings with us as good, and therefore without disputing or resisting. Okay, so what does that go into? That goes into First Peter, where it talks about humble yourself under the mighty hand of the Most High,
Right.
that He may exalt you in due time. Okay.
First Peter.
Yeah, I believe it's First Peter 5. I believe so. It's not First Peter's 5, but it's First Peter's 4. First Peter's 5 and 5 through 7.
You want that?
Mm-hmm.
First Peter chapter 5, verse 5. Verse 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It says, likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yeah, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of the Most High, that He may exalt you in due time.
God. Right. So that's it right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
The things that the Most High bring upon us, we supposed to humble ourselves under His authority, under His power. Because at the end of the day, the scriptures say what in the Lord's prayer, "Thy will be done." Okay, see, that's what Yahushua was on. Okay, he prayed to the Heavenly Father for another way, man. But at the end of the day, he said, "Thy will be done, and not my will." And so that's the mentality that we're supposed to take. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that we don't pray to the Heavenly Father to help us out in certain situations and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, we have to trust that the Heavenly Father is dealing with us and that His will stand, and we have to accept it. Okay, because the Most High is righteous, man. Okay, in all of His judgments, all of His ways. So we're supposed to accept what he does at the end of the day, and just keep trusting in the Lord and remaining obedient. Okay, that's what it means by not resisting. Because if resisting is really you, instead of maintaining your integrity like Job, okay, resisting it would be you, trying to take matters into your own hands, and then you don't want to serve the Lord no more. You don't want to do the work no more.
Right.
You feel me? Now you want to go back into the world. The Lord ain't coming fast enough. All this other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Doubting and shit. Really, you don't fear the Lord. Really,
Right.
at the end of the day, you don't fear the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But in the definition as well, it says in the Old Testament, the meek are those who wholly relying on God rather than their own strength to defend them against injustice. Okay, relying on the Most High to defend them. Okay, against injustice, man. So, for example, you have Jeremiah, right? When they were persecuting him, right? He prayed to the Lord to defend him against the injustices.
Right.
You have Daniel in the lion's den. He prayed to the Lord. You have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Pray to the Lord. Okay. Moses. We just read about Moses. Right. Right. Gideon. The list goes on and on. David, when Saul was coming after him, man. Okay. Samson. All right, but David is a really good example.
Yeah.
With Saul,
yeah.
When Saul in the house of Saul was fucking with him, man. Okay, he trusted in the Lord. He didn't take matters into his own hands. Even his son Absalom, man. David is Absalom's father. He could have killed Absalom, man. He could have really put some work on Absalom, but he took it because he was like, hey, at the end of the day, I sinned against the Lord,
Right.
Okay, and I deserve this, man. But even with Saul, man, he was still showing humility and meekness, waiting on the Lord to deliver him, and the Lord did,
Right.
In his time, man. I want to go. Susanna is another good example. That's a good example,
Yep.
right? It says, "Thus meekness toward evil people means knowing God is permitting the injuries they inflict, that He is using them to purify His elect, and He will deliver His elect in His time." Okay, so basically, the evils that people do to us, um, or that are inflicted upon us by wicked people, are we supposed to trust and know that the Most High is the one who's ultimately ordaining it, and we have to wait for the Lord to deliver us in His time and not take matters into our own hands. Okay, and that's something that we're gonna have to apply and really be in a spirit of meekness in the times to come. When the persecution comes and all this other shit, man, you gotta be in a spirit of meekness. You have to apply meekness, man. Brothers. Brothers are fiery characters and all of that. For the word's sake. Okay, we're zealous and we're fiery and passionate for this word. Okay, but as far as defending ourselves and taking matters into our own hands and things of that nature, man, the scriptures say, "Wait ye upon me till I rise up to the plate," man. Okay.
If I may say,
yeah.
Yahweh Bashmal Shai say, "Vengeance is mine.
God.
You will repay."
God. Yeah, vengeance is that's true. God. Right? Because of what the scriptures say, there's a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulations within that trouble you.
Right.
So the Lord's going to deal with everything in His time, and we just got to remain obedient. Okay? Right? It says gentleness or meekness is the opposite of self-assertiveness or self-interest. Okay? All right? Which the scriptures tell you not to be that type of person, man. Okay? All right? Not looking on every man his own things, but on the things of others, man.
Yeah.
Okay, always trying to put yourself first and have your voice be heard and your opinion. It's not always good, man. Sometimes you just need to shut up. Just keeping it real. Sometimes you just need to shut up and just pray to the Lord on it. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, for real, man. Okay, it stems from trust in God's goodness and control over the situation. The gentle person is not occupied with self at all. This is a work of the Holy Spirit, not of the human will, which we read that in Galatians. All right, so meekness is involved with selflessness, humility, trusting in the Lord, and obedience. Okay, at the end of the day. Okay, so may Yahweh Shemel Shai bless us with the spirit of humility, the spirit of meekness. Okay, you got something, bro?
Psalm 37.
Nah, go to Matthew 5.
Matthew 5. Yeah.
And then Matthew 5, and then because that'll lead to Psalm 37.
God.
And through the Spirit, more than likely, Yahushua is quoting from Psalm.
God.
Yeah.
It's Matthew 5. Get to the point.
Yeah. Well, you can start. At verse 1 and go down to verse 5.
God. Matthew 5, verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Right. Okay. So this is Yahushua talking to his disciples, because it says his disciples came unto him, man. So this is for the Lord's disciples, man. Okay, if you consider yourself a man of the Lord, a disciple of our Lord Yahushua, you need to be applying this in your life, man. Okay, right? It says, "What blessed are the poor." Okay, poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Which poor in spirit is to be lowly and afflicted. Okay, all right. It says, "Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted." Okay, which the scriptures talk about. How those that mourn now, okay, they shall rejoice. Okay, and those that laugh now shall mourn. Okay, it says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." All right, and the meek, are the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, all right. The scriptures say he's gonna beautify the meek with salvation. All right, so like as we've been describing, those that are meek, man. Okay, if you want the kingdom and you want the new bodies and you want salvation and all the riches and you want to be a God and all that, then you need to apply meekness. Okay, to inherit, so that you may inherit the earth.
That's right.
Okay.
Got John 13.
John, go ahead, bro.
We should get Psalm 37 last since it's long.
Yeah, it is kind of long.
Yeah. John 13, verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Yahushua knew Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When Yahushua knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Yahushua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from the Most High, and went to the Most High, he riseth from supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel, and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel therewith he was girded.
Right, that's an example of Yahushua being meek, humbling himself, all right,
Right.
to be a servant to his disciples and really a servant of the Heavenly Father. Okay, which I did a video recently. That was a beautiful video he did on how washing washing his disciples' feet, how that represented being our brother's keeper. Okay, and make sure your brother was on point as far as the doctrine and things of that are concerned. Okay, but you can also look at that as what Yahushua showing mercy to his disciples.
Right.
Okay, and washing them from their sins, man. And what the scriptures say? The scriptures say in Colossians, man. Okay, how we're supposed to forbear and forgive one another as Yahushua forgave us. Okay, we're supposed to do that to each other, man. Okay, you got that Colossians. That's where you're going right now, man.
I was going to Philippians.
You go, oh.
Yeah, but
Nah, I see Colossians.
Yeah, where's it at?
It should be right up in here. It's right on this page, bro. It put on us the elect.
Oh,
it's right there.
Okay, hey, the Wadi
Al-Pashra.
Colossians 3, verse 12. Put on therefore as the elect of the Most High, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering.
Mm-hmm. So put on therefore as the elect.
Yep.
Okay, you consider yourself to be part of the hopeful elect, or you claiming that. This is what we're supposed to be doing, man. Put on therefore as the elect, holy and beloved bowels of mercies. So we're supposed to be merciful to one another. Kindness, humbleness of mind. We're supposed to be kind and humble.
Mm-hmm.
Meekness, okay. Long suffering, which meekness and long suffering go hand in hand.
Right.
Really, because in order to be meek, you have to be long suffering, man.
Right.
Even the fact that we're in this condition right now, and doing this work, man, and we're in captivity, So even being under Esau and still going to work and paying bills and just going out and doing this work and staying out of the way, staying out of trouble, that's a display of meekness, okay? Because Esau presses us daily, man, and we not taking matters into our own hands, going to gun ranges and shit, and
like carnal.
We ain't carnal. We ain't doing that. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, bro. Suck it up, bro. So deal with it, bro. It ain't that serious, man.
Come on.
You can't be getting all rah all the time, and things of course vex us. Things make us upset, man. But it should never be to the point where we taking matters into our own hands, man.
Verse 13. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Mashiach forgave you, so also do ye.
Right, forbearing one another and forgiving one another, which, let's go to the word forbearing. Right, forbearing one another. Right, it says to forbear. Right, it says to it's Strong's G 430. All right, it's aneko, and it means to hold up, to hold oneself erect and firm, to sustain, to bear, to endure. Okay, to put up with, figuratively, to put up with. Sometimes you gotta put up with brothers, man. To hold oneself against, to bear with, endure, forbear, suffer. It is what it is, man. Yahushua suffered us, man. He put up with us. The Lord put up with us, man. Big time, man. We read in the prophecies about the wickedness our people done did, and you read the Proverbs, the Psalms, Sirach, and you read the scriptures, man, you see how much you fall short, man.
Right.
Okay? Reading these scriptures not so just something that we don't go out, on the streets just to point fingers at niggas, man. This is our story as a nation, as a people, man. Okay? So the Most High, when we read about how Israel fell away and how we sinned against the Lord, we broke the law, statutes, commandments. You read the Proverbs and the Psalms and the prophets and Sirach and Ecclesiastes. We supposed to be reading it and see shit that we do wrong, man.
And Micah 7 and 9.
Right, Con. And we supposed to be like, damn, the Lord really had mercy on us, man.
Right.
So what? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy, man. The Most High showed mercy to us, man. We supposed to be able to show mercy to one another, okay?
Yeah.
That's another reason why the scriptures say, if you see a man overtaken in a fault, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, man. Because you have faults, man.
That's right.
Okay? You got faults. You got things that ain't right about you, man. Okay? All right? And the same fault that you notice and you corrected another brother on, you probably fell short too yesterday, the day before that, last week, 2 weeks ago, tomorrow. Okay? All right? So it could happen to you, or probably did already, man. Okay? So ain't none of me. Look, man, we ain't never supposed to be on some tip like we some high and mighty super Hebrews. You do all these lessons, you do all these shows, you think you on a level, all right, things going well for you or whatever. You think you just think that you good. You ain't never supposed to be like that, man. All right, we never supposed to get to the point where we think that we on some shit, on shit, man. Okay, because we are worms, man. The scriptures say thou worm Jacob, man. Okay, not thou ant. Okay, inside joke.
Micah 7 and 9.
Go ahead, bro.
I will bear the indignation of Yahweh because I have sinned against him until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, so it says bear the indignation of the Lord, and that's again, a lot of times the Lord brings afflictions on us because we sinned against the Lord. Okay.
Right.
And so we have to bear his indignation and
Yep.
wait for him to have mercy upon us, man. Okay?
Yep.
All right? Not taking matters into our own hands, man. You see that with Yahushua, man. Even when he was on trial, man. He didn't say anything, man.
No.
He hardly said anything. He said maybe like a couple sentences.
Thou sayest.
Thou saidest, and, thou shalt see the Son of Man coming with power and great glory, But really, he said, like maybe 2 sentences, 3,
Right.
maybe 4. He didn't say anything after that. He just took it, man. Okay?
Right. And they show you that in the movie The Passion of the Christ.
Mm-hmm. How he was just quiet with it, man. And that's how we supposed to be, man. That's how we supposed to be.
Hey, the scriptures say to lead a quiet life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yep, roughly paraphrasing.
And Lord willing, this all coming together, man. And may Yahweh Shai bless us with the spirit of humility with meekness, man. Because that's something that's a big part of this truth, man. Okay? Yeah, we're the men of the Lord. Okay? Yeah, we're the prophets of Heavenly Father. We're the sons of God. We're the sons of Abraham.